Great day, great day. And it is definitely a wonderful Thursday. You know why? Because I got to watch my favorite show, Star Trek, Starfleet Academy. And what we're going to talk about is Season 1, Episode 4, Vox in Excelso. I've seen a lot of people kind of butcher this Latin. But yeah, Vox in Excelso. And this episode is all about Jaden. Jaden Cragg right here. Our resident Klingon. And let me tell you, this warmed my heart. This show got me in the feels so hard. And that's how I know it's a good Star Trek show. That's how it's a good Star Trek show. Because basically, we get to find out what the Klingons were up to since we saw them last in Star Trek Discovery. And it all starts Debate Club. Yeah, it was very, very triggering because I'm sure most of us had issues in Debate Club. And it turns out that Jaden here is no different, although it was the first time that anyone has ever seen a Klingon have a panic attack for public speaking. So yeah, it was rough for poor Jaden. I felt for him. I really did. And of course, he's going against Caleb, which everyone seems surprised that Caleb is a master debater. Caleb has been on his own since he was 6 years old. And he was pretty brilliant at 6. So why be surprised that Caleb can talk his way through any subject that he happens to know about? I saw another reviewer talking about they're making a correlation between him and James T. Kirk. Because even though James T. Kirk was a rake, didn't follow the rules, was very rebellious in Starfleet, he was actually very smart. So yeah, they're saying that, well, Caleb is pretty much walking in his footsteps. Because Caleb is very smart. Otherwise, he wouldn't be in Starfleet Academy. And they really do need more cadets like Caleb. However, how they got Caleb is the problem. So yeah, they're in Debate Club. And poor Jaden, he can't hack it. The very thought of public speaking almost gave this Klingon a heart attack. So while he's licking his wounds, they find out that a frigate carrying the last houses of the Klingon Empire had crashed. And there's a possibility that Jaden's parents was on that frigate. So, of course, Jaden being the only Klingon in Starfleet now, everybody's a word. Everybody's talking. So, Jaden decides, okay, you know what? Everybody's talking about what's happening with me. Let's talk about it in the class. I don't want to hear no back chatter in the halls. So let's debate about this in class. And of course, that's where the shenanigans begin. Through flashbacks, we also get a look at Jaden's family and how he came to be at Starfleet Academy as the lone Klingon there. And I was watching other reviews, of course, trying to see other people's opinions about this particular episode. And then one particular reviewer, Sci-Fi Fanatics, yes, I'm going to name them, they were so stuck on Jaden is, of course, not the traditional Klingon. He has 2 names. This other Klingon has 2 names. All these Klingons, and he ran through all these examples of how these Klingons had 1 name. And I'm sitting there thinking, you're so stuck on Jaden's 2 names. that you missed the fact that Jaden is from a pretty untraditional Klingon family. 2 fathers, 1 mother, and his brother. So I was just kind of chuckling a little bit on them being stuck on that, and of course pronunciation of certain things in Klingon culture. But of course, it's been how many years since we've last seen the Klingons? You should expect for pronunciations to be a little skewed, since Kronos, which is one of the things, they now call it Kronish, is no more. And the Klingons have become refugees in search of a place to live all over the place. And now, because of that frigate explosion, they're now on the brink of extinction. So, of course, we can't have that. We got to have our Klingons with us. So, all of these things, gives us a piece, gives us a look of how Jaden is the way he is and why Jaden is the way he is. And, this particular situation here, his older brother dies. And his older brother is the one who saw Jaden, who appreciated him for being what he was. And, not following the path. And his fathers, okay, but we only see action from this particular father up here next to Jaden. And he's not happy with it. He wants his son to be a warrior and, blah, 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 yuck, yuck, yuck. After his brother's death, this particular father, I believe his name is Enoch. Yes, Enoch. Because they didn't make it clear in the show, because I'm sitting there thinking, did they call their names and I just missed it? Because I watched it with captions on. But anyway, this father, okay, took Jaden out to the hunt to become a warrior. But Jaden is not a warrior in his heart. He does not want to kill anything. He wants to do no harm. So, of course, after Jaden fails to kill the hawk that was in the air, Enoch is all like, you're dishonoring your brother in our house by not killing. Although Jaden is like, listen, I'm honoring my brother because he knew I wasn't a killer. That's why he didn't teach me how to hunt. So Enoch, angered, okay, snatches the bow from him and attempts to fire at the hawk, but he misses. Now, Klingons don't miss. So he then leaves Jaden alone on this planet. He took his fellow husband and his mother and left him there. Which is how Jaden found his way to Starfleet. Because his parents just up and left him on the planet after his brother's death. So much trauma. So much trauma. Oh, we're going to have to part 2 this one because there's so much stuff and I'm running out of time. But here's one of the more interesting parts, okay? Darren Remy. I'll say what y'all say about Darren. He's got that, as the young folk call it, he's got that riz. And here he is rizzing Jaden. So Jaden, of course, while all this is going on, is still in this debate club fog. And how is he going to talk about his position in the debate, which surprises everyone. But Darren comes in to save the day. So he teaches him how to breathe the Keonian way, a battle breathing exercise. And then there looks to be a little something here, All right. So I'll be right back with part 2. I'm back. Okay, so actually I have to correct myself from my previous video. Is actually Vox in Excelso, not Excelsior. Why I kept thinking that it was, but you know. I am always ready to admit when I'm wrong about stuff. So it was actually Vox in Excelso, which means voice on high. Okay. So, yeah. Have to correct myself right there. And I couldn't find any pictures, at least not any official pictures, of Captain Ake and her part in this whole thing. So, of course, the Klingons are refugees now, nomadic now, because Kronos is gone. And they found a world that was similar to Kronos where the Klingons can hang their hats. Now, there are some Klingons already there, but that's neither here nor there. Admiral Vance is all like, listen, we offered the Klingons the planet, but they don't want it. So, of course, now he puts it on Captain Ake to, yo, you had a friend in the Klingon Empire, talk to him. See if you can get them to, take this planet so they can save their people. Because, again, the Klingons are on the point of extinction. I lost the word, so you're going to have to just take my word for it. So, yeah. So while Jaden is dealing with his past and how to deal with this debate, Captain Ake is in the back trying to fix things up. And of course, she had a good old time, reminiscing with their chancellor of sorts. And of course, he tells her, listen, I would take this planet in a heartbeat. But our folk is not going to take nothing from y'all, okay? We ain't been friends with y'all in a little bit. We're not enemies, but we ain't friends either. And they don't take charity. So, now Captain Ake has to figure out, okay, how can we get these people to take this planet? And the solution, the Klingon solution to the Klingon problem, comes from Jaden himself. So, after he goes up against Caleb in the official debate, they get a little personal. Things get a little heated. Because, of course, Caleb is all like, listen, I just want to win the debate. But now, I'm just going to have to do to Jaden what Darren did to Genesis. I had to bring something personal in on it. And then Jaden had to tell Caleb, listen, we are not brothers. You may think you know. You don't know nothing about being no Klingon, boy. So after they cool off a little bit, and then Laura Thok comes to talk to Jaden, from Klingon elder to another Klingon, she gives him a reframing of that fateful moment when his parents abandoned him on that planet. And Jaden started thinking, okay, all right. I kind of understand. That was still messed up the way they did me, the way they left me on that planet. But I kind of understand now. So hopefully we will get a scene with Jaden and both of his fathers and his mama to talk about, that a little bit. Because everybody's going on about traditional Klingon this and traditional Klingon honor and traditional Klingon pride, okay? So, if Enoch has just simply said to Jaden, look, you ain't one of us, you might as well go on the Starfleet and do you, boo, do you. They would have been screaming. But leaving Jaden on that planet by himself wasn't too nice either. So they're going to eventually have to revisit this. Probably a little later on down the line. Since season 2 is already finished filming. So maybe we will see it eventually. But it was good to see this piece of it. And of course, Jaden brings the solution to this little issue. Okay? Since the Klingons won't take the planet as the Federation offered it, they're going to have to figure out a way to Make them do it in a way that it satisfies their pride. Because it's not really about honor. It's about pride. They'd be like, nah, Federation always going to give us stuff and always want to be the saviors. And of course, there's been plenty of call-outs in this show about that. And Admiral Vance is all like, okay, listen, if this young man can figure out a way to save his people, let's do it. Let's do it. So, of course, they had this big old fight, this big old thing. And it was, yes, it was political theater at its finest. Nobody got hurt. It was basically a bunch of Starfleet ships, a bunch of Klingon ships, and they're telling them, they're like, guess what? This is our planet, then. Y'all got to get up off of it. If you don't want it, get up off of it. It's ours. So they had this beautiful thing. And it's beautiful because the Klingon musical theme went all the way through the battle. The Battle of Fall. Hold up, let me find it. Fan Alpha. There we go. So yes, we did see, and some people think it's a farce, but I think that it was the perfect Klingon solution to the Klingon problem. I don't understand why these people think that, the Klingons are above doing a little political theater, okay? We had Martok. We had Gowron, who was the most political of Klingons ever. So I was not surprised that they had to go through this little ruse to get the Klingons underneath the new Chancellor to accept the planet. Y'all didn't give it to us. We conquered. We took the planet. It is now ours. And I didn't see anything wrong with that. Because again, the whole point is to save the Klingons from extinction. And sometimes you got to save them from themselves. And yeah, the Federation is very sanctimonious. They were very, very high and mighty. But now the burn has brought everybody low. So now everybody's on an even playing field. So if this simple political theater was what it took for them to accept the planet and to be on it and to survive and thrive, so be it. So be it. So yeah, the Klingons are back. Jaden has his honor. He is a warrior now. So the House of Crag has been honored. And again, this was so nice. It was so lovely. And I really enjoyed it. And yeah, there was other, nitpicky things, The doctor and his speech. But again, I just brushed that off as, I'm old. I can say what I want. But that line that the doctor said in the beginning of the show, they could have just simply said, this is not for the weak. Because, again, it does sound kind of wrong when you're doing 21st century vernacular in the 32nd century. So, yeah. I'll give y'all that. Because I didn't like that either. But other than that, this was perfect. This was a good story. We got to see Jaden fleshed out. And, of course, the rest of the cadets supported their friend, which was beautiful. We didn't have no backbiting and no yak and blah, blah. And Jaden finally accepts Caleb as his brother because he first thought that he was dishonoring his actual brother's death. But it turns out his heart was big enough to have another brother. Live long and prosper.